Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to do some testing with a CZ Bren 2 MS pistol. The reason we're going to do this is because we've seen some discussion on the internet around problems specifically with the 7.62x39 firearms. And so the reports are saying that extractors are not functioning properly and are causing stovepipes and other failures to extract or failures to feed, but mostly failures to cycle, and the guns they're falling on their face. Now, it's not something that we've seen. I have not shot my 7.62x39 Bren 2 S. This is not an MS, this is an S. This is the military configuration. Very few of these made it into the country. The MS is the US commercial version, which has some cosmetic differences to it. So we're not going to be doing it with this gun. We're going to be doing it with an actual MS2 pistol, which is actually an SBR that Jason Form 1'd. And he did that because he really likes the gun. Now, he has about 1,000 rounds of various types of ammunition through it with no problems. But today we're going to go through and see if we can actually cause a problem. The failures to extract and just the failures in general have been reported at less than 500 rounds fired, and some people were saying the problem started at 2,500 rounds. So today we brought out a full case of Golden Tiger, and we're going to see if we can cause a problem. Now, this is going to be a very expensive test because the ammunition, given today's climate, is not readily available, and if you can find it, you're paying twice as much for it. But we feel this is important. We actually had a couple of folks at Copper cancel orders because of the discussions that are going on the internet. Now, regardless of the outcome of what we see today, we're not downplaying those problems. They're evident, they're out there. CZ USA has made a public statement that was reposted over on Reddit, and they attributed the problems to the use of lacquered case ammunition, and I'll delve into that more here in the video, and poor quality 7.62x39. They said of the handful of guns that they've received back, and I'm paraphrasing, I'll post the actual comment, of the handful of firearms they've received back, most were gunked up with lacquer from this, or the gas ports were clogged in some way, and once the guns were cleaned up, they functioned as they should. They said they had, I think, one gun that had a problem where somebody had run hot ammunition through it and actually broke the firearm in some way, without naming the actual hot ammunition. I don't know where you would find super hot 7.62x39, but okay, maybe it was a reload or something. They didn't specify. Now, we do have some other types of ammunition out here this afternoon that we're just going to run through it after we run some lacquer through it, because people don't fully understand lacquer. Again, we'll delve into that when we start shooting. But we have two different flavors of brass ammunition, so we'll cycle some of that through it after we get the gun hot with some lacquer-cased ammo and see if we're going to run into a problem. So that's the whole point of this video today, guys. So buckle up, sit back. We got an awful lot of shooting to do, and we will be using the shorter pistol version of this. This is a pistol version as well. This just has a 14-inch barrel. We're going to be using a shorter barrel version that Jason, again, has SBR'd, and he has a Dan Haga stock on his SBR. Okay, let's get started. I'd like to thank our friends at Big Daddy Unlimited for helping to make this and other videos possible. If you'd like to help us out, swing by the BDU website, and just for 99 cents, you can try out their service for 1 month. And they're basically like the Sam's Club of the online world. So check them out. If you would like to stay a member, go by militaryarms.org. There's a big link right at the top of the website, and you can stay a member for 20% off every month going forward. So please check them out. This is Jason's Bren 2 MS2 pistol, and he has a Dan Haga adapter with an ACR stock on it. He has a Trijicon MRO on top, some Magpul Pro backup sights, Surefire light, has a HB Industries extended handguard on here. The torque screws are torqued to CZ spec and Loctited. Has 11-inch barrel, and on the end he has a muzzle device for an OSS suppressor, which is a low back pressure suppressor. The reason he's obviously gone with OSS is, first of all, we run them on just about every gas gun we have, but also these guns seem to be, right out of the factory, pretty heavily gassed. And that's not uncommon in military firearms, to over-gas them a little bit to make them more reliable. In the long run, it can cause durability issues, but manufacturers typically take pretty good care of gassing the guns just right for longevity versus reliability. So When you put a can on one of these, the pistols do not have a suppressor setting. The rifles do, we found out. The pistols do not. And so if you run a traditional back pressure can on something like this, you can accelerate the wear significantly, and therefore you probably don't want to do that, although I know a lot of people are doing it. But I can guarantee you your bolt velocity and carrier velocity have gone up considerably, and it's going to cause more wear and tear on the gun. Now, nobody really knows what's causing the problems with the extractors in the gun. I've read that some folks have used, I'm not recommending you do this, guys. Don't take what I'm telling you right now and do this to your gun, because it has its own associated problems. But people are taking BCM extractor springs and putting them into their Bren 7.62x39 pistols, trying to increase the spring pressure because they believe the extractor is letting loose because it's not properly sprung. Now, people have reported broken extractors after having done that modification. So again, I do not recommend messing with the internal components of your firearm. All we can do is, if there's an actual problem out there, which there seems to be, is hope that CZ addresses the issue. Right now, they're blaming ammo and everything else, and it's kind of annoying personally when manufacturers kind of are dismissive of actual problems, because while I haven't seen a vast number of posts on the internet, it seems to be getting pretty widespread, again, given the fact that we've had orders canceled at Copper. So here we go. Now, Jason has already put over 1,000 rounds to this gun. That's because this is a gun that he had intended to set up for his own personal defense. That's why he has a light, Surefire pressure pad, all the stuff that you see on here. And he shoots it regularly. Pretty much every other range session that we're out here shooting, he brings this gun along. When we're done filming for the day, he'll put several magazines through it and just have some fun with it. So it has over 1,000 rounds through it. And of course, he's had no issues with the gun so far. So we're going to start off using the ammunition that CZ claims has been causing problems. And they claim that the lacquer cased ammunition is part of the problem that they've seen with guns that have been returned to them. And my opinion of lacquer cased ammunition is that this is probably some of the better quality ammo out there in 7.62x39 or 5.45x39, because this is actually a military standard. The polycoat stuff, steel case ammunition from Wolf, it tends to rust. It's not as good. And to this day, militaries around the world use lacquer coated ammunition. The Russians have been using this stuff since before I was even born. And to blame reliability of a firearm based upon military standard ammunition, and the Golden Tiger has a lacquered case and it has a properly sealed bullet and primer, not a fan of that blame game there, because this is actually good quality ammo. Now, Golden Tiger is manufactured by Vimpel, and they're a company that's relatively new, one of the more modern factories in Russia for manufacturing ammunition. I believe they started operations in 1976, and they make a variety of military grade ammunition, but also hunting ammunition in Russia. All right, here we go, guys. Let's see if we can get ourselves into trouble today. Now, if you watch the ejection pattern of this pistol, it's throwing those spent cases forward. And typically that would be indicative of a gun that's over-gassed. A properly gassed gun, like when we're talking about AR-15s, is going to throw that case out around the 3 o'clock position. When you're throwing the brass out forward, that indicates a higher bolt carrier and bolt velocity, and that's why it's being thrown forward. All right. These things have incredibly light triggers on them. All Golden Tiger, guys. Gonna let her cool off and we'll resume our testing. I keep referring to this as a pistol. It is an SBR. The guns I have are pistols. So I may accidentally call it a pistol throughout this video. Yes, I know, I'm making mistakes. All right, so you've watched this gun go through the first few magazines with the cases being ejected forward. Jason knew that this gun, or felt that this gun was overgassed, and he had taken the gas plug out of my 14-inch barreled gun and put it in this one, and noticed that the recoil impulse was drastically reduced and the gun didn't seem to be as overgassed. But this gun needed its own gas plug because he just couldn't keep it out of the 14-inch gun. And so he had that third zero position, which is nothing. It just shuts the gas off in the pistols. He had Chase at Definitive Arms drill that out. He doesn't remember the port size, but it's the same size as the gas port in the 14-inch barreled model. Again, this is an 11-inch barreled gun. So if I turn this to its zero position, it's now going to have less gas operating the action. And I'm going to fire a few rounds just so you can see it functioning with less gas. See where the spent cases are going with less gas? More towards that 3 o'clock position. So again, this is still Golden Tiger, the lacquer cased ammo. I'm going to turn it back up to its factory 1 position. I just wanted to show you that you can reduce the gas on these and probably extend the longevity of them. In the opening of the video, we had some mags loaded with 20 rounds, some with 30. These are all 30s. If lacquer was going to cause a problem, we should be experiencing those problems any moment now. Okay, again, the gun's nice and toasty, all lacquer cased ammunition, no problem so far. Let's resume our testing. We're still using the Golden Tiger, but after we get the gun really nice and hot, then we're going to put a couple of magazines of the brass cased ammunition through it to see if it causes problems. Because again, there's this notion out there on the internet that lacquer builds up in your chamber and then causes malfunctions with non-steel cases. So let's go ahead and get this puppy as hot as we can here. We had a failure. We have 2 rounds in the magazine, the bolt closed. Let's see what type of failure that is. Let's give it a second. Light primer strike. Huh. Let's give it a second try. All right, fired on the second try. Ugh. Butterfingers today. This thing's got a little push to it. That brass is coming so far forward, I actually feel it hitting my fingers on the forend. All right, one more mag of the steel case. Again, this gun is hot. All right, so that's 2, 4, 6 magazines of steel case. Now we're going to shoot the Federal brass. All right, no malfunctions, and 8 magazines, including 2 magazines of brass case, right after 6 magazines of steel case. 1 failure to fire due to a light primer strike. The failure to fire, Jason and I believe, probably is the result of my trigger finger. Sometimes I can get firing so fast I will actually get the hammer to follow the bolt carrier home, and that will result in a light primer strike. So that's what we're going to go with, because that's the first light primer strike Jason's ever had, according to him, with the firearm. And I was firing pretty fast when it happened. All right, let's resume. We're still using the Golden Tiger lacquered mil-spec ammo. All right, trigger finger tired, and that Dan Haga likes to yank on my mustache hairs. So again, gun really hot. No failures. I tried to slow the cadence down a little bit. I got pretty fast there a few times. No more light primer strikes. Guys, this is about as hard as you can get on the gun. Hopefully it continues to perform the same. We got more magazines to load. So let's resume. We're going to fire 6 magazines of 30 rounds of the Golden Tiger, and then we're going to put at the end of that 2 30-round magazines of the S&B brass cased ammunition through it. Again, testing that wives' tale that lacquer causes cases to stick in the chamber. At least so I've believed over the years. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in this video. We shall see. And now for our 2 mags of the S&B brass case. Still no failures, guys. We're getting this thing toasty hot. You think if we're going to experience a failure, we would be able to induce it through this testing? We'll see. So we've tested that old wives' tale that if you shoot a bunch of lacquered cased ammunition then brass, it'll cause malfunctions. Well, let's reverse it. Let's start this next series of tests off. We've let the gun cool down, and we're going to start off with 2 magazines of Federal brass cased ammunition, and then we're going to finish it up with 6 30-round magazines of the Golden Tiger lacquered case ammo. Here we go. This weapon continues to get scorching hot, and still nothing outside of that light primer strike, which we attributed to me overrunning the mechanism, getting the hammer follow. We don't have many rounds left, guys. All right, guys, if we get through the rest of these magazines, we will have fired over 1,400 rounds or so through the gun. We had a full case of Golden Tiger. We fired several magazines full of Federal. We fired a couple magazines full of SMB, and we had more than a case of Golden Tiger when we came out here. And we used all that ammo. And then we have, this is just kind of range trash. This is just a mixture of Wolf, Federal, and I think Golden Tiger, just some of the loose stuff that was floating around the back of the Polaris. We managed to fill a magazine full of that. So we're throwing everything at it, man, except the kitchen sink. Let's see how it goes. It'd be something else if we had a problem now. Yeah, this thing makes a little bit of a blast, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and grab that magazine. This is the Federal. Still on target, and here's our range trash. Still hitting the point of aim, the steel man-sized target down there, challenge target. Again, at least 1,400 rounds this afternoon. No failures of any kind, with that one exception of a light primer strike. Again, we think we know the reason for that. Not the gun's fault. Now let's take it apart and take a look at that bolt and see if we see anything out of the ordinary. So after our testing, we again have roughly about 2,400 rounds through the gun. 1,400 of those rounds you saw us fire this afternoon. Very hard on the gun. Taking a look at the internals, of course, the gun's filthy. If you take a look at the trigger mechanism, you're going to see purple here. That's from the sealant around the primer on the Golden Tiger. No undue wear on the hammer. We have the bolt out of its carrier here, and I wanted to compare this bolt to the bolt on my Bren 2S that has very few rounds through it. And looking at them side by side, and looking at the extractors, there's a slight amount of wear on this extractor that I can see. It'd be right at the base of the claw. I'll try to take pictures so you can see. Not excessive wear, but just a little bit of wear that I can see. Other than that, really doesn't look much different than my nearly new bolt out of my rifle. Taking a look at the wear on the carrier, very little finish wear, which tells me the parts mate nicely together. You will find some peening on the end of this safety mechanism for the firing pin. That's normal. But the carrier looks, other than dirty, actually darn near new. Taking a look at the gas plug, so here's the standard gas setting hole from the factory. When you turn it, that larger hole is your adverse setting. That third hole is what he had drilled into his gas plug here so he could run it at a lower gas setting. So we demonstrated that at the beginning of the video, but that's not factory. The other two holes are. Nothing in terms of undue wear there. taking a look at the little piston itself and the part that interfaces with the bolt carrier, there's no edge. So this is not peening or deforming in any way on the other side, but this rides in the gas puck there. But this is the side that actually interfaces with the carrier. And again, no sharp edges. So in terms of wear, I don't see any signs of heavy wear on the gun. The only signs of wear I can see for sure seems to be on the face of that extractor. Inside here, it's just dirty. It's really, really dirty. So yeah, we couldn't cause the failures that we've seen people talking about on the internet. Now, again, when I did the searches, I searched for Bren 2 extractor problems, Bren 2 broken, Bren 2 failure, and I could only find a couple of threads out there that didn't have a whole lot of posts to them. But it seems, again, that this is getting out to a broader audience and people are expressing concern. Again, Reddit, the CZ forums, the primary sources of the posting that I've seen, and less than 100 posts combined. So I don't know if this is a widespread problem or not. And our testing today certainly didn't show us any signs of those problems. So is it a select few guns that don't have properly hardened extractors or don't have the proper tension on the extractor springs? Possibly. It's hard to predict the problems that folks are having. I'm not saying they're not occurring. I'm just saying we couldn't reproduce the problems here. At today's prices, we spent over $300 in ammunition just to try to replicate the problem, and we're unsuccessful. But we still, or I should say, Jason still shoots this gun quite often. If it does, down the road, have a failure to extract or anything else, we will document it and we'll make an updated video. So, guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel so we can bring you information like this, guys, we don't take money from the gun companies. We're supported by you, our viewing audience, so we can be as brutally honest as can be. You can support us by going to Patreon in the link in the video description below, or you can go to YouTube right underneath the video player that you're watching right now. There's a little join button. Click that join button and support us right here on YouTube. And last but not least, guys, please swing by and check us out at coppercustom.com. All right, thank you for 12 years of support. We'll keep you guys updated. Talk to you soon.